Hey fellow patriots, Bravo Echo here from Hope for Survival YouTube. I wanted to drop a podcast out to give an update on some additional information. It seems like the world's going crazy. Things are moving fast. There's information and stories all over the world of things that are happening or things that could be significant to upcoming things that we don't need to focus entirely on, but we need to be alerted and in tune with because of things that it could signify or phase into something that could impact us. So I don't know if you've heard or not, but there was an exercise conducted in October of 2022, and it was called Catastrophic Contagion. And it had all the world players at the table, and it should sound familiar to you, because if you remember in the fall of 2019 there was a global exercise conducted on a pandemic, and then we started seeing the results of the one that came about from that. Well, this one was conducted in Belgium, and the exercise scenario was a make-believe pandemic, but it was based around a avian bird flu. And in this exercise, it basically was a pandemic attacking children, and in the exercise scenario, children who contracted this particular virus had a higher mortality rate. So interestingly, in the last week, there has been information that came out of the head of the WHO, World Health Organization, and Bill Gates has been out doing interviews talking about the urgent need of getting children up to date on all of their vaccinations, to include a vaccination for the avian bird flu. And there was also an interview conducted with a particular daughter whose parents were both in political positions. One was president and one ran for president, without saying any names. And in the interview, she was bragging how she needed to get her children's vaccinations up to date. I guess maybe she has a new baby under the age of 1. And in the interview with Gates, Gates stated that we needed to commit at least $1 billion to create a surveillance system so that we could monitor everyone who was getting the vaccine and those who opted to not get it. So keep that on your radar. That's something that I'm sure we're going to hear more about in the near future. There was an alert issued recently out of Homeland Security, and it was discussing the possibility of the grid going down in the next couple months. I personally, I searched for it. and I could not find it anywhere. But several other media outlets have been talking about it, and they had the document in their hand. So, but if you do a search on Homeland Security alerts, grid down, you will find numerous articles since December of 2022 discussing government entities discussing the threat to the grid from right-wing extremists and radicals. So they're beating the drum, and it's getting louder and louder. So pay attention to that. Over in Europe, there is an upcoming exercise that NATO is conducting. It's the largest exercise in NATO history, and it's called Trident Juncture. And in this exercise, there will be 220 aircraft, 10,000 participants, and about 25 to 28 nations will be partaking in that exercise in and around the Balkan states and Ukraine. As a response to this announcement of the exercise, there was just one in March, I believe, and this one's coming up, I want to say the end of June or July, the Trident Juncture. As a response, in addition to Russia moving military equipment into Belarus, they're also positioning a lot of their military hardware in nations that are bordering the countries that are partaking in this NATO exercise. Also, there was a release out of the Russian media stating, it actually may have been out of Belarus, there was an article stating that any nation that is willing to join Russia and Belarus in this war, they will be gifted with nuclear capability. So, you know, talk's cheap, but the information is out there. You never know how much information is real, how much of it is psyop. You don't know if it's AI generated. You just really don't know anymore. There was a couple articles released out of DC in the last couple weeks, again talking about how the FBI and Homeland Security says that radicalization and lone wolf actors is the biggest threat to our nation today, to include our grid. But they're saying in the studies that it's caused by social media, and this is hyping hate and anti-government sentiment. And with this, again, there is a strong push. They are getting some resistance. There's a strong push to restrict and regulate and ban any platform or website that is putting out information or news that is not in line with the current regime position. So there has been an effort. There's been an ongoing effort for probably 9 months to a year. It kind of goes along with the social credit score on how you act and what you say on the internet, and things that are intercepted to restrict your access and block you from having access to the net. So there's more to come on that. Taiwan, the U.S. this has not been covered in the media that I could find. But the U.S. is negotiating with Taiwan to bring them under the U.S. nuclear umbrella. And what this would mean is, if there's an agreement made, is that there could be transactions and interchange of nuclear information and resources placed in Taiwan. The question is going to be, if this goes forth, will China respond to it? How will they react? Possibly beforehand, or when it happens. So many people believe that well, it's a known fact in war planning that Iran, North Korea, China, and Russia, all four, in their plans, they all want to take the United States down, whether that's singularly or jointly, or as a four-nation pact. One possible way of doing that is through an EMP of some sort. A lot of the things that we've been witnessing for the last several years inside of our country, the division amongst groups, religion, anti-religion, racism, culture, and so forth, is in line with both China and Russia. And probably 60, 70 years ago, and since then, defectors who have shared with our government how they would go about bringing down the United States. So we're witnessing a lot of it right now. I think we really have to be cautious as a nation, our security of our nation, to the Chinese air balloons that are randomly floating over, because there is the ability to use an air balloon to deliver an EMP. So we never know. On the Kosovo front, many people have written Kosovo off. That happened in the late 90s. We had Bosnia, Sarajevo, and we had the split of Yugoslavia into 3 states. And Kosovo is really hot right now, and there's a lot of friction and riots and protests that are taking place between the Serbs and the Muslims. That has been going on since, it seems like, forever. But what many people don't realize is that the United States still has about 1,000 U.S. troops in Kosovo as advisors, and they have been there since 98, 99, 2000, 2001 time period, when that was more of a war campaign occurring. So just another hot spot. Another one that we need to keep an eye on is in the Middle East. There's a lot going on between Israel and Iran, and also with Iran and the Taliban. Recently the Taliban has been attacking Iranian forces. One has to wonder who is funding and backing the Taliban in this effort. We know where much of the equipment came from. that was left behind in Iraq and also in Afghanistan, I'm sure. But Israel has been begging the U.S. for support to attack Iran for 6 months or so, maybe longer. But the relationship between the U.S. and Israel has been weak at best. The U.S. Has not been overly cooperative compared to past administrations and periods in history. Also in the Middle East, several Middle Eastern nations are basically turning their back on the United States, and they're opting out of agreements that had been set up years ago, and many of them are actually turning elsewhere for security and support, where historically since the 1960s and I believe the Nixon administration, maybe early 70s, part of the deal that was made on the oil and petrodollar is that many of the friendly nations, if any of them, many of the friendly nations are opting elsewhere away from the United States, and in addition, many of them are starting to abandon the petrodollar and the U.S. dollar entirely. And this just continues to build. Some may say, yeah, it's part of the BRICS, but I'm not so sure about that. So, as you can see, the world's a mess. Things here at home, the problem and shortage of wheat is increasing week by week by week from continued major droughts. It's been reported in the Midwest and up in Ohio as well. Kansas farmers are going through a second or third year of severe drought, and they're basically shutting the door and walking off. So this will be multiple years of wheat shortage, and China, I know, reported several months ago that a lot of their stored wheat in the silos went bad, so they lost it. So it just continues to stack. I know here in my local area, we've had maybe 1 day of rain in 7 weeks, maybe close to 2 months. So it is really dry here and hot. The last 2 days has been pushing near 90 degrees. So it is summer. Yeah, it should be hot. The concern is as it continues to get drier and drier is the fires. In addition to areas where there's farmers and small communities, and it's their livelihood and how they make it and take it to the market, and their community buying and supporting, and it's part of their income. But we're going to see, as time goes on, we're going to see more and more people who are trying to be self-sufficient, self-reliant, and it's going to become nearly impossible. This is why it is so important to continue the best you can, continue to put food back, can it, dehydrate it, freeze dry it, ever how you can do it. You need to continue putting food back for you and your family, and if you can, put back extra, because I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of folks who are going to be hungry. I have noticed, and I've received emails from a couple of you telling me that you're starting to see shortages in your grocery stores. And I noticed it here last week when I got back in town. So anyway, I don't want it to be a doom and gloom. I'm just sharing with you some of the things I believe are important that are taking place. Keep doing the great things you're doing. Work hard preparing not just food, but a water plan, and how you're gonna move it, how you're gonna protect it while you move it, how you're gonna clean it, how you're gonna store it, and work on that community, setting up that community team somehow, some way. You may stay where you're at, and they may stay where they're at, but when the bell rings and the horn blows, you're going to need people to come to your aid, as same with them, to help one another. So, that's why we say we the people, right? Anyway, keep your hope and think positive. You're all good people, and you're doing good things. Just determination. You got to be determined, and to the best that you can while you're being informed is to try your best to use this as information, not distractions. Okay? So take care. Be blessed. Watch out for them avian birds. I did, just to include it before I close, reports coming out of the United Kingdom that they are quickly moving towards mandatory avian flu vaccinations for all children before they can go to school. So I'm sure more to come on that. Our children have been so severely impacted from the time they lost the last few years during the other pandemic. It is showing bad, especially in the elementary age children here in Tennessee. In one location, like 70% of third graders failed the mandatory test they have to take to move ahead. So it's not good. That's it's terrible. But the beat goes on, right? So keep your head up. We're going to do this, and we're going to get through it. We just have to be smart and try to stay ahead of the curve. Keep your head on a swivel. Crime is on the increase. People are doing crazy things, not just with firearms. They're using other things as lethal weapons. So anyway, just be safe, look around. If you haven't read The Mindset, Book 2 of Hope for Survival, I would encourage you to do so. It would help you in the out-of-the-box, left-of-bang approach. Until we talk next time, if you haven't subscribed, please hit like, hit subscribe, and help us build our... Thank you for checking out the Hope for Survival YouTube channel. If you are new to Hope for Survival, you can check out our books at our webpage. Book 1, which is Hope for Survival, Getting You Prepared for Disasters, and Book 2, Hope for Survival, The Mindset, are both available for order on the website. We also offer the Hope for Survival football stick, which is a memory stick set up as a digital filing cabinet with files already loaded on there for you to digitally copy items such as deeds, auto transcript for ownership, wills, living wills, loans, banking information, items that if your home burned down or you had some form of a disaster, you could have all of your important papers already digitally filed on this stick. all you do is simply drag the digital file into the appropriate preset folder so that you'll have it in the event of a disaster. You have to flee your home in a hurry, or also if you're away from home and you need critical information that's personal. If you have your memory stick with you, you can put it in your computer and pull that information up wherever you may be. Again, you can find these items to order at our website, https www.hopeforsurvival.com, or you can email me at preparedness101@protonmail.com, and I will try to help you out. Again, thanks for checking out the Hope for Survival YouTube channel. Hope to see you again.